Hey everyone, I'm Tassinix, and welcome to Plotting and Scheming, covering Season 48, 3 vs. 3 Grand Arena Championship for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, Week 3. If I didn't mention that already, that might have been redundant. But it's the wrap-up here. We're post-season. Still a couple hours away from Swugga.gg updating with all the results, but we're still going to get you the breakdown, as soon as we can here. How's everybody doing? Happy day after Christmas to Sasha, Dagger, and TJ. Hope everybody's doing well.
Doing great.
All right.
I'm a little meh, but 2-1. So I'll take my week standing. That's a better than average of a 1 and 2. So, but it's a good man. It was a good holiday.
Good stuff.
Enjoying the perks of doing well, but enjoying the perks of home ownership, if you know what I mean. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell the people what you got going there.
Oh, yeah. So we were gone for a couple days for Christmas, came back to like a half inch to an inch of standing water in different parts of our basement. So, yay!
What we're trying to say is Dagger really loves Swiggo so much that it flooded his basement.
You really can party down.
Yeah. He's a player. Yeah, that's how he gets down.
So
I'll be doing my best to mute when not talking, so you don't hear the shop.
No, it's good, but I guess TJ, stated his record. He was 2-1 on the week. Mm-hmm. And yep. Sasha, what were you?
I had a 1 and 2 week. I had a good opening round, a tough second match, and then to be honest, like a really entertaining third match that went off the rails early on. And that's kind of what liberated it to be entertaining.
Sasha, can I ask you quick? Sasha, are you top 8? Are you top 8?
Yes, that was in top 8.
Let me help everybody, and I'm going to say this, and I will be the one to say being in that bracket. Everybody needs to understand when you are in the top 8. A 0 and 3 is acceptable. It sucks, but what it is, right? Because you're playing the very best. A 1 and 2 is yes, everything went great. I did, and that's what I'm saying, right? You got to remember who you're playing. You're playing the Millionaire Club, the Cajillionaire people, the creme de la creme. So a 1 and 2 is like, all right, stuff could have happened, but I remember who I'm playing, so I'll take my 1 and 2. A 2 and 1 is like, fuck yeah, that's awesome. And a 3 and 0 is, thank you, RNG.
Let's. I think for the 3 and 0, let's ask Tass. What does that feel like?
It is the very first time I've ever 3-0'd the top bracket. It is. It absolutely is.
And did you not kneel down and pray before the gods of the RNG that said, thank you for bestowing me? And
there was definitely some couple things that broke my way, and I copped to that in those streams. Like, I'm not here to say that was just all me doing the lifting. That being said, it is incredible. I've never done that before. I've beaten the guy, whoever it was, at rank 1 before, but I've never 3-0'd in the top bracket, and the only reason I didn't finish the season at rank 1 is because Aesop has accrued such a rating advantage that I can win, he can lose, and he's still on top with some room to spare, honestly. So,
I appreciate how you said whoever it is in first when referring to Aesop, as if we don't already know.
No, I'm saying I've beaten whoever has been in the first slot. Sometimes it's Aesop, sometimes it's not. That's what I meant.
I thought you were throwing shade at Aesop.
Not at all.
Yeah, right.
Nah.
No. I just heard it, and I had to turn the shop back off to tell you guys, wait, did you just throw shade at Aesop?
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
But and Dagger, how about your week?
I went 2 and 1 down in TJ land, so it's like,
It's now Tagger, smartass. While you're talking shit.
No. Hey man, you spend way more time with a 3-digit number with a 2 and a 3 in front of it than I have.
Ooh.
I'm just saying, we're still calling this TJ land.
I feel like I feel like you must be a holly jolly Christmas because we're a lot of full of shit. My 2s and 3s are rare, sir. I'll take a once a year that I'm at 3. 2, that's quarterly. I'll take a 2, but 3, that's like a once a year. What the hell happened?
Yeah, I'm back in the top about it. I ain't trying to hear that shit. But no, I'm gonna keep calling it TJ Land until you can go an entire season without hitting 200.
Oh, that's many seasons of that, but that's all right.
All right, boys. Without any further ado, you ready to dig into the meat and potatoes?
Go.
Okay. Segment 1, what worked this week? I'll sound off first here. Things that worked that were surprising. Checking over. I've got so Swugga.gg isn't updated, but I'm letting my eyes scan over my spreadsheet here real quick. The one that immediately jumps to mind without having to do any additional effort is in the final round. Aesop had shown that once so far this season he had set Lord Vader Maul Reva, and that puts a real crimp on any like JML or JMK. It dramatically slashes the win rate. Like we're talking like sub 30%. And I said, if he does that to me, then I'm just completely screwed. And I saw the only thing that had a high win rate against it was Leia Drogan R2. So for the first time this season, I pulled that up, used that on offense. And indeed, that was like a 56, I want to say, 56 or 57. So that was a real snap. I think, I just continued to prove that Radis Jin K2 or whatever, like it doesn't really matter the cron, it doesn't seem to really matter the tank, but Radis against DTMG was, it continues to be a slaughterhouse. The only reason I comment on it is it just seems to be so forgiving of whatever kind of orientation you're walking in the door with, because the AI is just absolutely ridiculously stupid on the DTMG team. And they're just like, yep, let's just keep smacking Jin forever. So, okay, that's fine. JML Grandmaster and JKR was a good solution to Slacker Malikos' ninth sister. It's the only time I saw that particular mix of the Slacker Malikos, so that was a good one.
Really quick, if I may.
Yeah, please.
I fought DTMG like pretty much every round on defense.
Yeah.
And I would just like to, echoing the AI being boo-boo, that thing must be hard-coded to focus Jin, because they didn't attack anybody but Jin like every time. They might have hit like somebody else once.
Yeah.
But man, they just beat the crap out of Jin. And I took Cassian. They didn't even touch him.
Yeah. I saw a few different.
Just to touch on your AI thing.
No, you're absolutely right. I didn't even try the cast, but I saw Cass was in a couple of successful comps, and I was like, you know what? It's like I've got K2 here, I'll do that. I've got Baze here, I'll do that. Like I went with things that felt, a little safer. And I guess the last attack that two real winners I wanted to highlight. Malgus this week was clutch for me. Malgus on defense has just been a staple for season after season now, but this week in particular, like
I told you
against Inquisitors, yeah, you've definitely harped on that before, and I resisted it because of how strong it is on defense. Yep. But like with the ease of practice that people have doing Jedi Cal against it, it's like if you're gonna go 57 this, go 57 something else. And then so a full nasty Reva team. Grand Inquisitor, Seventh Sister, Malgus just stomped that. A DR Talon Savage, it probably would have otherwise cost me a GL. That was 57 banners with Malgus BSF Sith Marauder. Like, that was huge. And then Seer Cal Fulcrum, with the couple adjustments that I made on the board, Seer Cal Fulcrum just didn't end up getting placed. And I was like, well, I got to find some good spot to use this. And two really jumped out. Finzori Rose. A couple people set that, and it was a high-spec team. This was Goda's Finzori Rose. And Seer Cal Folk chopped that up. 57 banners. Just absolutely brutal. I think there was one other team. Yeah, Akbar Han Leia. This one actually didn't do well for Seer Cal Folk, but it had high win rate going in. So I think that was probably at least partially mismanaged by me, but I want to say that Akbar... like Leia thing here with the Rebel Cron, I guess that won't be here next time we go to threes. But man, Seer was good. Seer was good against that with the once you're able to take turns, because holy crap, does that Akbar team just lap you wrathfully? Like you get a turn like every 30-40 seconds, something like that. It's not great.
And Tass, if I recall, didn't you use that Seer Fulcrum squad in a Tusken cleanup? And I mean, Tuskens, particularly with the current Cron, can be brutal, but she, on her data Cron, she being Fulcrum, has the no revive. I thought I recalled you using it somewhere.
Let me check. I don't think that was in this week, if that's... No, it wasn't in week 3 here. You probably got me mixed up with someone else. Yeah.
I thought you. Well, okay, whoever that was, that was a good move on their part.
No, that's clever.
Not
Yeah.
you, Jeff.
Yeah. No, that's a good one.
All
So
right.
that's it for me on successful attacks. But since you already sounded off here, Sasha, why don't you cover what worked well for you?
Yeah. Let's see. Stuff that jumped out. I brought, cause I think a lot of folks did Jabba to offense. I was a little anxious in using Jabba against Leia squads without any defense on the Datacron. It's like a comfort blanket that I've had for a while of tons of defense on DCs. But that Boosh Datacron with the lengthy level 6 really was good against Leia. Once I got comfortable actually not bringing Chrysanthemum, and I think the trick for me there was bringing Embo, who with the critical immunity has some nice survivability, but enables enough DPS on the team to take Leia out at the end. That was helpful. Let's see, other things that certainly the AdRad counter against Dark Gideon, it just felt too easy and too cheap to pass up. So as you'd mentioned that. And then the stuff that worked that was, I think, most interesting for me were the things in my last match where I got to go out on a limb. And honestly, I think I had my funnest GAC attacks in a while. And there, because of some failures on early GL attacks that ate up multiple GLs, I didn't have the safety blanket I was accustomed to. And I got to use, for example, Ewoks. My Ewoks had the good Ewok Datacron. They're decently modded against a really good stock Kara Captain Rex. And that was a fun battle, and it worked. I got a 56, I think, on that. The key with that against a Rebel damage reduction Datacron is you literally have to go auto from the beginning, so your Ewoks will ramp, and you're literally just controlling targeting. And it took 4 minutes and 58 seconds, but it worked. And that was
that's a good one.
That was a ton of fun just to get good use out of Ewok. Then another one kind of just forced out of necessity, but it was I think I got like a 54, 55 against CLS, Chupio, and Drogon with the really strong Drogon level 9 Datacron. I used Talzin Daka Marin, and it had its tighter moments, and probably with some better targeting by the AI, it wouldn't have been successful. But I got a one shot there. That was a lot of fun. I'd say those were some of the funner, more like noteworthy stuff. I also just I did get one ISC Gar-Saxon ISC.
Did you? You got to take down a gas?
I took down a gas Rex 5s, and I just, didn't have the level 3 30% potency per opponent. So, I had decent tenacity, and so I got to do that. That was fun. It was like a 55.
Now, do you have the double Relic 9 on those, ASOP, or are you still rocking 8s like me?
No, they're just Relic 8s. Yeah, I'm fairly light on R9s, so they're Relic 8, but with high tenacity, I think they're both at, right around 170% tenacity. They did not have any days land on them.
That's a lot. That's a lot of tenacity. Wow.
Yeah. It sacrifices some offense, but it keeps them countering.
Holy crap! I believe you. That is some crazy stuff. All right, TJ, what you got? What worked well for you this week?
It's not going to be much that's going to change this. So unfortunately, it's the more that didn't work, but it's just because how my week worked out, right? So I fought a guy I fought last week, first round, Rowdy something or other, from Bad Batch, and I fought him, and I had the luxury of looking at what he was going to do, and he didn't change anything, which I will let you know against me. Don't do that. Don't change nothing. Change once you change something. He changed nothing. And so I was well aware what it was going to be. So the one thing I'll call that got to work out pretty nicely was gas on the new DTMG with the 400%. That felt pretty good. That was it got a little shaky on what we're doing because obviously we don't have any Datacron set for it, and they do. But gas on that because he was putting Iden in the back, which means I got to keep Abrad, right? Because Abrad is obviously the soft easy when it comes to that. That was, I think,
Okay,
a
yeah.
good one. And Malgus, man, like I was kept telling you, Malgus, not giving Malgus to the JKC and then being able to take it and lighten your team and just be able to kill random, like, oh, this is going to be a hard team. Oh, I just got Malgus. I'll just put it there. Feels really good. Same thing for doing Darth Revan. Being able to keep both of them and putting it back on offense to get it and for not bad banners. I was just maneuvering those fights around and it was going good.
Okay.
The other one was Bam IG Quill on the Ewoks. Felt really good. Them trying to hold that down, and you don't need much for that team, and you can put ability block or something else for the scoundrel setup, and you just win. And it's for good banners.
Dig
Those
that.
were those are the key ones I felt like. But I am going to be glad that this, depending on what we see, so I'll take a heavy sigh. Depending on what we see from the next Datacron set, I'll be happy that this one is gone. Because of how lackluster this current set is. I'm ready for it to go away.
I can hear it. I hear you. I hear you. It's been laborious to deal with. So I'll take your point on that. Dagger, how about you? Successful attacks. Let's hear all about the winners.
Well, just to touch on what TJ said, it's been like 8 months of this bulk / defense horse shit, and I, for one, am going to be happy to not have to deal with that shit going forward. Come next threes, hopefully, fingers crossed. But yeah, we went from bulk to like this level 6 defense with defense. Oh my! Anyway, I'm with TJ, man. Fuck this shit. Afra continues to beat Jabba to no surprise. Even if they target Afra down, as long as you lead with the basics to feed her the extra turns, she cycles out of the debts and heals herself with her basic. That's not really surprising. Not a lot of surprising attacks for me that, like, oh my god, this needs to work. I had one that let me see where I wrote that down. I need to. My notes are upstairs. I'm, as I said in the intro, working downstairs. To echo Sasha, TJ, and I think TJ mentioned this too. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was during the actual planning. Ewoks beat Tarful convincingly, so that was fun.
That is a good one.
And this is like R9 Zalbar, R8 Clone Wars Chewie, R8 Tarful, right? Like, yeah, and again, as Sasha pointed out too, it was too easy to not just take the free money if you were just going to let me Radis it for free. It literally got to the point where I started putting bays on my Saw team because my opponents were so consistently placing DTMG, and it was just such a free win that I just started like using bays elsewhere. So this last week I did the Leia Chupio or the Leia Drogon split. We'll talk more about that in the holds, but yeah, it felt weird to not have CLS on offense. So definitely felt the pressure of having to move stuff around. So definitely tended to overkill more this week. And I'll just pass it on after that.
All right, fair enough. Segment 2 then, gentlemen. It's time to cop to it. What failed? What left you broken, bleeding at the roadside? I'll sound off first here because I had a pretty successful week, so it won't take me too long to rattle off the failures. But Tuskens, nasty Tusken team round 1. I went in with Gas Rex 5s, except at this point in the show, I had not noticed that I didn't have a set 11 to run with gas, so I had to run a set 12. And set 12 did not provide me with the survivability to avoid, gas sits down, our guys get beat up a bit, we survive, gas stands up, gas immediately sits down. And then our guys do not survive that second round of stuff. And then gas stands up and then gets beat to death. So that one was no good. I want to say it was Aesop who was in the stream chat and recommended that I try Boba Queel IG-11 to clean up just Tusken Chieftain and Warrior, because I took out the Raider. And, man, that fabulously failed. I think I mismanaged the fight, because I guess when I was doing the TM up with Queel, I should not have had Warrior targeted. So I can admit that there's probably a better way to have played that fight, but I had to just straight up back out on that one and ended up needing to use something else. Seer. Oh, Seer. Oh no, that was you. That was You're right about that. You're right about that, Sasha. I did use Seer, Fulcrum, and someone else. Not Cal. Cal was placed on defense that round. It was some other unaligned force user. Visas. It was Visas. It was Seer, Fulcrum, and Visas that got it for a 26. So it would have been a 36 on the first go. That was a useful lesson learned. Other dropped attacks. We were pretty smooth. Oh, C, Malik, and Armor. Go to set this in the back. And I think, he specifically must have had it in mind to impede C. And it worked out pretty well in that respect. I went in with C, Watt, and Armor, put a 2-stack of Beskar on my Sith Eternal, and I did think a moment in the fight about whether or not I should go for 3. It's a damn good thing I didn't, because those two dicks would have just been countering each other for like forever and doing no damage. So the fact that he got a 3-stack on C and was countering cost me a lot of time. So if I had the same, it surely would have been worse. And as it stood, we managed to hack C down to about half before we timed out. Went back in with Wampa, and that went down to the last few seconds, but we did manage to slap him down on that one. And for round 3, so this one was weird. Sana, Hondo, Kara. I didn't have a lot of the usual suspects available to take this on at this point in the fight, but I saw that Hux, Lobster, and FOTP had, in very few applications, been very highly successful. And so I decided to take a stab at it. We opened up and immediately destroyed Hondo. Hondo was it straight up deleted. And then we kind of just petered out from there. We were able to take the first couple of AoEs from Sana and Kara. But when I started hitting Kara, she was just shrugging it off. It wasn't, we weren't significantly cutting through her protection. And then once they started to circle again, now you're talking about some TMR getting in there. You're talking about them chipping off FOTP. And you know how that is. It's the unique that gives the team its juice. So when he leaves the board, the juice leaves with him. And then we just kind of stood there and waited to die. So went back in. Now, Dagger's going to give me shit about this one. But I decided it's like, you know what? I know I can take down this and just blow it up with Iden. Because I can just keep Kara from taking turns, and we'll be cool. So we did that. We went in there and we did the stun on her from Iden, and then the opportunity presented itself to brap down Sana, so we did get her down. Kara was able to take a turn. And that was the last time we did stuff meaningfully. Because she was able to just chain chug, stunning us, of course, because we're Empire, but then having the cooldown reset and just chop, 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 just slap the whole team down. So I had a second shot on Asana, Hondo, Kara wipe out. And I ended up using like JKL and Hoda to clean up the third shot on that. So that one was just silly. That was silliness. And then Akbar, Han, Leia, like I mentioned earlier, Seer, Cal, Fulcrum wiped out on that. It was just Leia left. If I had maybe, another 5-6 seconds, we would have gotten it done in the end. But as it was, Wampa cleaned that right up. So that's it for me. Who's next? Who steps into the spotlight?
Sure, I'll share my shame.
That's right.
Let's see. There are, I'd say, probably 3 that really stand out. And all 3 were, contributing or kind of decisive in matches for me this week. So one was interesting. It was actually against Aesop. It was a failure of my Leia against his Rey. Now, I had set my Drogon on defense, kept Leia, so I had R2, and I went with R2 Ben against the Leia, Ben, and Cal Kestis squad of his, with the Datacron that had 50-something% health and the rest on defense, plus stacking defense. Mm-hmm. And it was just too thick. Like, I was able to take out Cal, and then timed out without being able to get Ben or Ray out. Ray basically brought herself into damage immunity once, but the thickness of the bonus protection that she generates with lifeblood, everything, and just the stacking defense, I wasn't able to do, and failing with a Leia on offense. I mean, I know it kind of sucks to have Leia on defense and give up a 57. It sucks even more to save Leia for offense and then drop with it. So that was painful. One other like GL level one, and then another that was really big. But the GL level one that cost me my last match, or it was one of the two factors, was it was against a Jabba squad with the proper Bausch Kron. Jabba Bausch Chrysanthemum, and I brought Slacker, Hux, and First Order Officer, and assumed I would be in pretty good shape. It was a very good Datacron, UFU stacking defense, high survivability for my Slacker. But enough time was spent in damage immunity and with regen that I lost fairly quickly the two sides that I brought with me. And then ultimately they were able to get down Slacker, and I was surprised. So that was a drop without having killed anybody on the opposing team. So that was a really rough fail. And then combined with, it's interesting, you'd mentioned things that worked tasks against Berater. You had used your Malgus against a Riva Grand Inquisitor 7th of his.
Yes.
That was a really good squad.
Yeah.
However, I looked after the fact at you having faced that same squad. You brought Malik along with your Malgus.
Yes.
I didn't. So I went Malgus, Talon, and Marauder. And I figured, all right, well, look, I've just got to get to a point where I survived long enough. Can do is leap on the sides, and then it's just attrition, and I'll tear down Riva. On that Berater had was, instead of stacking defense, the 10% turn meter. So they, the Inquisitors were going faster than I would have expected. And Seventh Sister has that ability block. They were able to take out the two sides, and they kept my Malgus ability blocked nonstop.
Dang.
And so I never got another leap out. I was able to take Riva down like maybe once, but I couldn't get there. And it was, with Riva reviving, it was basically the whole squad's there. That was just a hard fail with costing me Malgus when I should have brought Malik as well. So that was a didn't work. And each of those three, like I'd say, two of them combined to cost me the third battle. And in the second match, that was a big deal, losing to that Ray there. So yeah, all learnings. But again, like the silver lining on the one where I dropped against both Riva and against the Jabba was I got to experiment and dig a little deeper and get the creative juices flowing against other stuff, which was more fun than the match that I won, honestly.
Very fair. No, yeah, good revelations, good lessons. TJ, how about you? Let's hear about it.
Yeah. This is going to be a little bit longer than what worked. So the what didn't work. We'll start with Chiss, guildmate, and overall stinky whale. So rightly so. So what didn't work? JMK did not work on Ray. And it did not work on Ray because holy hell, Chiss with his almost 18,000 special damage Ben, all the good ones with a great Datacron. Went after Cat, deleted my team, and I won the match with Chiss only because, let's be fair, Chiss didn't play. So he said, "Here, you may have this," and I said, "Thank you, sir. May I have another?" I was okay with it. I'll take the dub. The other one didn't work. Jabba on Leia, so I kept Jabba this week and put the SLK Crew Malicos as the overall impending setup for what I was doing all 3 weeks, which did get me my win on round 1, and I'll explain it. But yeah, they hard hit Bausch, and with no Bausch on your team, Chrysanthemum and Jabba just cannot. They can get rid of the other characters, and nobody's coming back, but you're not getting through Leia. Solo Leia will just hold up that team, and that's exactly what happened, and I was okay with it. Round 3, man, fuck round 3. So what happened in round 3 was literally all of the stuff that was supposed to work did not work. And I'll say for these 3 weeks, when I've done my losses, it's been because I put too much on defense, right? Well, this round, I really did not. It's just the stuff that would work just did not work. Like in order. And funny enough, Dagger got to see some of it. So he put Darth Revan, BSF, and Savage. Well, I've done Malgus on Darth Revan before, no problem, and been a really good score. In the beginning of the fight, my Malgus decides to miss on the big bonk, which would start everything off and get it going. Did not happen. So that failed. Taking JKC, so BSF or Bass, JKC, and Mace. Check good health. It's worked all season just fine doing it like that. He had Sass and Marauder under Malgus. Lost that one too. Sass literally was deleting my team left and right. I spent too much time on Marauder, and I'll cop to that. That's okay. But yeah, that one failed. Qui-Gon Jinn took the new standard B1. There wasn't a crazy Chron that was on this, but that failed as well because, again, that wasn't going to work. God, Dagger, how many more things? There were so many fails on my week 3. It was basically, and this was like Christmas, right? This was you should have stopped playing. And to top it off, going into ships,
Yes.
I might have won, but my Chimera failed on my Leviathan counter. So it just said, "Mwah, you should quit playing now. You're done. You should have stopped already." And I didn't learn, and I was fine. But so many, like, these always work. This 100% counter works. I failed like all of the 100% counters at the end.
I mean,
it was ridiculous.
You dropped like a 92% counter due to an initial dodge. Then you lost like an 80% counter, and then you tilted off a 90%. And then you tilted off a 90% counter after you were pissed. And then you're like, I need to stop. And then you did another fight and dropped it too.
I did get a 57 though. The one of my fights was a 57. It was a good call.
You won one of your fights on the front wall.
I did. But that's what I said. My round 3, and that's why I'm mad.
And bless your heart,
It's right. It's like I'm mad, but I'm not, because honestly, out of the 3 weeks, this is the only one where that really happened. Where I would call out like, man, I just got shit RNG. It's like, no. The other ones I was oversetting. We've talked about it before. I didn't. I had the right stuff. He only dropped one, so I'm not going to call anything as far as like the saving grace for the next segment. He only dropped on LV. Mm-hmm. Everything else he cleaned. He kept 7 GLs. I will say the one that was interesting that he kept, he set again, was he set the Malicos Maul. And I was forced to have to do a JML, and nothing I would have done would have saved the fight. So I was okay with the drop on it. It was just a really good squad. So I was okay with the 2-shot. It was a 70% chance. I did not fall that way, but the other stuff was like, Jesus Christ, bad, man. Like, holy hell, dude. So that's my ending of the season, which I'm not too thrilled about, but it is what it is.
All right, Dagger, what do you got? Let's hear about what did not pan out for you.
So I also did a Aiden versus Sana fight that you were talking about, except I opened up on Sana, killed her off the rip, Death Marked Kara, and the fight ended. Let's see. Were there anything like I had some fails, but like a lot of them were like, the old. This is like 60% to work, so it's I guess like nothing like. Oh, I lost timed out. I think timed out with JMK versus Ray. I think that's like the most annoying thing that happened. And that's right. I had critically bad RNG. I didn't time out. I actually lost. That's right. I just went upstairs to check my notes. Yeah. So I'm a little fuzzy on the exact sequence of events because I just wrote down got whirlwinded twice and lost Cat. But GK went taunt down, and then Ray didn't crit Cat on a whirlwind, so GK didn't taunt. Mm-hmm. And then she did Lifeblood, and then whirlwinded again.
Good God.
And Cat died, and I could not get through, and then could not actually clean that up. Good. And that was it.
Good.
So outside of like just being like turbo space jammed when I had. This is one of those where I had like an hour and a half, like at the end to try and like clear.
Mhm.
Got space jammed. Was like, yep, fuck it, done.
Yep. Come on and slam, and welcome to the jam.
Outside of that, like I didn't actually have that bad of RNG. Like, yeah, I lost some fights, but like I don't think any of them were like, oh my god, I can't believe I lost that. You know.
Yeah. How could this
what
have
else
happened?
was there? Yeah, I lost to Gidme versus Seer.
Mm.
So I timed out on crew.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like that was one of those things where I was going to take the timeout as like part of the risk of going in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
Makes sense.
yeah. That reminds me. This isn't one of those things like, oh my god, I'm glad it worked. But I mentioned this last week too. Slacker armor plus a tank or GBA continues to just massacre every version of Lay.
Oh yeah,
GBA is probably the best because you get the 3 stacks on armor initially, and then Slacker is like unkillable with the stacking defense.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
So yeah. Just another point on that is that if you see that in the future, I mean, obviously the Drogon Con will be gone.
I was
But if
gonna
you see
say,
it next
ding dong,
3v3,
Drogon's
it's pretty
gone, buddy.
cheap.
Ding
Yeah, but I'm
dong,
just saying-
Drogon's gone.
Yeah, but next 3v3 season it'll still work even harder then, right? Like, it still doesn't require any of the UFUs.
I don't know where we're gonna be at, honestly, and that's the cool thing to think about is that I'm not calling UFU's gone by any means, but it's not the strength that the UFU's was. So I think we'll see. But I also want to say I don't know how much Leia is going to be there, or is it going to be more Leia scoundrels now, or something else than it is just so.
I was say go look at history because C gets placed on defense in 3s like 3 times as much as 5s. Leia will still be on defense in 3s, significantly more than 5s, just because GLs are. We keep talking about this ad nauseum. If you fuck up on a GL like me, like that can just be lights fucking out. You preload a GL, you're done.
Yep.
Well, I kind of want to say it depends on which one, right? Because like you said I preloaded a Ray. Well, and we all know when you say you preloaded a Ray, it's like, oh man, I'm sorry.
Well,
then it is other ones.
But what's the best cleanup on Leia? Riva?
Actually,
my point is that we'll still. We'll still see Leia on defense next season because even if you do fail, the cleanup is so heinous.
I just think it's going to be easier to kill. I don't see Drogon Kron. I mean, look, we were splitting it off, right? And then you had the second wind Leia team, which was not great, or it still sucked. But like you said, you were able to lighten your load. I was seeing history of the dudes 2-manning the new second wind with SLK. That's just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but my point is that with the Drogon Kron, I was still using Slacker armor plus a tank, and that's absurdly cheap. So my point is take away Drogon Kron, and it doesn't change much because you can still use that dirt cheap Slacker comp to beat Leia. Or if you're a dum-dum, you can still lose it. Like I'm not trying to pretend like that's an unlosable fight. Looking at GG's history,
try dum-dum.
You fool! Aha!
I haven't lost to Leia in 2 sticks. Like, I tried to hear that shit. Yeah.
Nope, he's a fool. Haha.
No, it's fine. Yeah, he's the poopy head.
Yeah. All right. Well, good stuff. Segment 3, then, gentlemen. My favorite here: standout defenses. So, what overperformed? I didn't have a lot of holds this week, so I'll make mention. Dash Vandor L3 did snag the odd random hold again against Aesop, of all people. He did a dash mirror and put it on auto and just kind of let it go while he was doing something else Christmassy related, and much to his chagrin, that got jammed up. My executor. In Fleet here against Aesop, I set the comp with IG2K, Houndstooth, and Razorcrest starting, so it's more difficult to do First Order, more difficult to do Negotiator, and he did do First Order against it and dropped. So it's unusual to get a Fleet hold, but there it is. Have to acknowledge it. Ray Swallow RJT doesn't really come as a surprise, but that was a full back out from Aesop on that, and I believe we'll confirm that ends up being Jabba. We had a lot of people try Jabba on us this season, and very few met with success. So I will comment that. DTMG, Storm, and Scout got the odd hold. Tuscans got the odd hold. Jabba, Chrysanthemum, Bausch. This one was significant with Barator. Yet another opponent who took their well set up, well kitted Afra BT1 000 against me, and that did not pan out, man. Having done it myself a couple times on attack this season, I think the determinant is whether or not you have enough high enough tenacity on Java specifically. Because if you can deny that cooldown pushback, even if it hits the other two, yeah, that slows down the fight, and that's not great for them. But Java being able to immediately cleanse them, get them their cartel buff on, and just have them shielded against you early on, that's devastating. That took a lot of time out of me, and I have a really overtuned Afra BT1 000, and I still walked out of that with a 54, where I was seeing 57s on the win rate. So that tenacity, I know it served me well, and I know it's serving others well. I think that's about it for me.
Yeah. Well, the tenacity modding has been, I don't want to say correct, but I'm putting this in air quotes, correct, ever since he came out. His offset doesn't matter, so just make it tenacity with a cross.
Mm-hmm. And I have him in speed tenacity. I suppose somebody could do full tenacity. That's fine, but
no, I have speed tenacity as well. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
The offset doesn't matter a ton, right? So the offset can just be tenacity because he has just a high base tenacity anyway. So I have him 170 without trying.
Yeah, and I have mine almost under 200 with the 2-piece of tenacity. I mean, it's all very well optimized, but it's 198%. And I mean, yeah, I'm right there with you. If you push for it, it does work, especially against this counter. That's it for me, though. Sasha, you want to sound off? Who are your standout defenses this week? You there, Sasha? Got your mic muted?
Yep, no, I'm here. Sorry about that. So yeah, this week it weren't a ton of high performers for me on defense, but one that got holds in a couple of matches was Sana Hondo Kara. This is one that I'd seen actually. I'd faced, I think it was Aesop, but with the Datacron that gives the 100% turn meter for Scoundrels, that squad, if it's underestimated, it's surprisingly quick that Hondo will get handcuffs out on 2/3 of an opposing team. And that drew one drop in 2 of my 3 matches. I think it's just easy to underestimate. And generally speaking, as I kind of look at what I laid out, it was probably the 15th best defense. But it worked. And then kind of an oldie but a goodie, and it's often again underestimated if it's got a really good high defense Datacron, but Trench Dooku Watt, and fast enough Dooku walk it. Yeah, it's one of those. I invest one of my best defense crons generally on that squad if I drop it, just because if it's got enough survivability, it again is one of it's if it's not the last, it's the second to last squad that an opponent's planning for against out of all the things I've laid out. And if it can survive long enough for Watt to get his techs out, the survivability is really high then. And so even if they get through, I think can't remember. Yeah, it was Aesop dropped against mine, and I think just because the health tech ended up on, I have an R7 Trench. It's not spectacularly well modded or anything, but with the health tech on it, it's just a ton of bonus protection builds up, a lot of survivability because of high defense on the Datacron, and yeah, so that one does pretty well. I mean, there are times you regret not having a lot on offense, but otherwise, it's a cheap squad.
Yeah, now I know we've asked this in the past. I just wanted to verify when you're setting this on the defense, the minimum amount of defense that you would want on that cron is 300. You said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I said that would
tough.
probably be the minimum, and ideally you're doing that with some protection. And this is again, I don't know if defense stats like armor pen from set 10 to set 12 has really dropped off. Who knows? Maybe defense. Maybe set 11 is going to be the last of very, very high defense. we've seen defense on data crons in sets 9 and 11. Yeah, 300% would be the minimum, and ideally other survivability stats like health or protection on top of it. And the one that I sent up was like a 380% defense, right? Like I just was throwing as good as I had on it, just trying to make a mediocre or subpar team into a surprisingly robust challenge.
Oh, well, that's great. Yeah, those clever things, like it's very rare in threes that you're gonna say like, man, shit, I wish I had trench for attack. So being able to make some type of viable defense out of that is a huge value buy. You're getting to keep something decent for attack, or pull something else up for attack, and that makes all the difference. So good one. Any others you wanted to highlight?
No, I think those are the noteworthy defense ones from this week.
Very good, very good. TJ, let's hear about it. Who were your winners?
I actually got a couple, man. I'll go like this. The first one would be round 1 against Rowdy. The SLK Crew Malikos, literally hands down got me my win. He went 2 on it, full life still when we were done, completely stopped the fight. He knew he was out and done. So the piece de resistance of what the history was going to do and everything, it did exactly what I wanted to. The other one, and I'll give it to you, Tass. Dagger didn't get to make our weekly session we were going through for this round 3 because, holidays, which is fine.
Yeah. Yep.
Fleet. I will call Fleet out for round 3 as if I didn't have such bad luck, I would have won. And here's why I'll say that. We talked about all the things, right? Tash, you and I were going through it. We were saying, we're going to do this. We're making changes. So I made multiple changes. I kept the triple executor.
Yep.
But I did IG, right? We talked about it. It was like, yes, I'll try that. He only got a 67 on that. So he dropped a good amount.
Mm-hmm.
I kept Malevolence. That was whatever. But I decided to take your idea, and it's the one that Aesop did with doing the Mark 6 in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
2 holes in holding. And if I didn't drop on ships, I don't think he would have cleared my Leviathan. I think the Leviathan would have got him.
Wow.
And all I did was put the Mark 6 in the beginning. But honestly, it held, and it continued to hold. And when I looked at the recap of where it was at, he'd only killed the 1 ship. So everything was still standing. And everything was still going. And the way he had the low setup was super bad that I would have had it if I didn't have my bad luck. So it's a shout out to you for us doing the discussion. But ships would have been the equalizer for me, as we've talked about many times. If my counter would have just worked.
Well, yeah. Sorry, it didn't break down well, but I'm glad the defense plan side of things worked. So that's good. Dagger, how about you? Any standouts?
Yeah. Qui-Gon continues to get 2 to 4 holds pretty much every single round.
Oh, that is shocking to me.
People keep failing Newt to B1 Django. I mean, I watched TJ do it. He played it wrong. I mean...
You fool.
Yeah.
People keep fucking liar. You liar. That's not wrong.
You're
I just got unlucky.
He says you're a fibber.
Here's the thing. Every time I've watched someone extort JKA instead of Qui-Gon, they lose.
I do that all the time, and I win.
Qui-Gon.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm saying that I have yet to lose extorting then rocketing Qui-Gon after cooldown increasing. And
I would say
I don't know.
I've never lost. I've never lost doing it.
I literally watched you lose
one time
on stream 3 times over the course of these last couple 3v3 seasons.
You know what? Don't give us the basement, you liar. No, it's one time.
Rock lose multiple times. Hell, I watched. No, that I don't like doing it that way. I've watched a lot of people lose doing it that way, and I imagine that's how people keep losing the mind. I pulled back off defense because I wasn't happy with what was beating it, and it just never found a use for it on offense. So I say that as like I only add this here because I think I think I need to reevaluate some of the things I put on defense to a degree, because man, I end up getting a lot of holds normally because up until recently, I have put a lot of my good mods on my B teams. Like my Tuscans usually have pretty good mods. Just because of the crate raid, I was lazy and just never wanted to remod them, right? So I just put them in their crate mods and left them. Tuscans got me a few holds this season or this week. I tended to put them up front, which meant they got less holds. And as is true with every 3v3, basically, when I look at the history and I look at things that got holds, it's almost always like Ray, Leia, Jabba, and then the last two teams they fight.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what gets holds for me. It's the GLs you put bottom front because they're trying to either go cheap or they struggle with them, which is why you put them up front.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last 2 to 3 teams when they have like nothing left and they have to like try and zerg it.
Mm-hmm.
And Qui-Gon ends up being one of the last teams my opponents have to fight because I put it in front of Fleet.
Yep.
But other than that, I had Hondo Han Chewie hold 2 out of the 3 times.
Wow.
With the cooldown basic reset like Sasha mentioned. And that team just has a ton of burst damage, which is why I was just like, I don't know how you beat this, but have fun.
Yeah, that's a you problem now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And with the CLS split with Drogon, which, Leia got the shitty Leia got me a hold for the record. I just want to throw that out there. I don't know what he tried. We'll see when history comes up. But shitty Leia got 1 hold this week. Go gadget old Ben.
Shitty Leia ain't all that shitty. Honestly, check out Aesop's defensive setup on his Leia R2 old Ben. Because, man, that was like a 53 for Slacker Crew Malicos of mine to get through. So, like, that was a wise buy for everybody to identify that partitioning off Drogon mid to late of this season was the absolute right call, like, for value. Because you're still taking something pretty proper to deal with this Leia.
I'd have to look at what I used, but I didn't use anything expensive versus CLS Drogon Chupio.
Yeah,
I used Iden once.
I like Treya Nihilus Savage is like 55 to 57. So that's like the cleanest one for me.
Nope. That's way too expensive.
I'm sorry, you know what? You said CLS. I was thinking I fought a Saw Krex Drogon with the Drogon Kron, and that was...
That's way different, yeah.
Yeah, never...
I imagine that's way worse, yeah.
It was not great. I would not recommend the experience.
That's probably what I should have done in hindsight. Because not having CLS for offense really lost me a lot of flexibility. I had to lean pretty hard on Iden for some tasks. But that's just my personal play style. We talk about this ad nauseum. I like flexible teams on offense. So putting the CLS and the Han Chewie on defense felt really kind of meh as far as like having a lot more linear teams on offense. I did get to use Ewoks a lot this week.
Dig that. So, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyways, that's all I got.
Okay, good. Well, now this next segment is usually, about takeaways for the next week. So, it's going to be tough to talk about because we know that Set 11 won't be with us next time. And it's also difficult to imagine the impact of Set 13 because none of its details are available yet. So as far as what we can take from lessons learned is I would say that this 3 season stands out against the last few in that you could do a bit more gamesmanship or a little bit more heavy defense rather in 3 vs 3 seasons of the past. I feel like the relative strength of the best non-GL teams practically requiring GLs or something equivalent, and there's only a couple things that neatly take on so many teams. It's made it feel it feels restricted. It feels restricted. I even had a viewer the other day just pop in and say, like, it's really boring to watch the same offense and defense. Like, everybody's doing the same thing. Like, doesn't it bore you to go and do this the same way every time? And it's like, it doesn't bore me, but I took the point on the criticism of the game. It's like, yeah, like, we're all doing this not because it's what we prefer, but because we know it's like the best odds of winning the match, and there's no second swing at any of this, right? Like, yeah, you get to take your second stab with 20 banners down, but that's what I mean. Like, you don't really get a sandbox to see whether or not your great idea was going to work before you throw yourself in there, and maybe you get it and maybe you don't. So I would just say that, efficiency has been an increasingly defining factor here in threes. We'll see how the new set affects it. But Leacron will be gone, so I would expect certainly that she would be off defense at first, or at least for that first week. Maybe she's still bottom front, and people are trying to see what you're still willing to commit to it. I think that's what's also a pretty good bet. Sasha, got any lessons learned? Any thoughts on what you expect to see for the next threes?
I do expect it to be meaningfully shifted around based on the to be determined datacron set, because a lot of what was said, even like sort of the things I was describing that worked for me, were datacron dependent, like defense stats being not only available but really ramping high on the set 11, and we don't know what this next set will bring, so I think that will likely shake stuff up. I expect that like we'll see some of the shifts of like people coming to the realization like that the Moff Gideon, the new Moff Gideon, or Dark Trooper Gideon rather, was pretty efficiently beaten, like him shifting back over to offense. And depending on what datacrons are available, maybe being a bit of a GL hunter. Actually, I kind of doubted it because of the Troopercron.
Oh, that's what I used against Chupio Drogon was Gideon.
Ah, okay.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree that guy's not going to be featured on threes much on defense next season. I think you guys are right on that.
No.
Yeah. So, I just, I think a lot of it is to be determined. Trying to think if there's anything else that really jumps out for me. I think it was mentioned in one of our it was earlier in this conversation, I believe, or maybe it was in the conversation we had at least within the last week, but potentially breaking up and moving around the Inquisitors. I think maybe you mentioned it, Task, that there were a number of folks in the top bracket that were moving Riva over to Lord Vader
as an anti-measure. Doing that as like
exactly.
a kill diff as an anti-JMK JML thing. Yeah.
Well, bear in mind that part of what's been making this JML so reliable for so many people against even the standard Lord Vader Maul Thrawn comp is the presence of the Prot on set 11. So with that gone, there may not be so much a need for that breakup. But I mean, I think to your point, like this season of threes was probably one of the first, if not the first, where I saw real experimentation at the top with partitioning out Riva from the Inquisitors. So like not only this counter we just mentioned, but also the hodgepodge, Riva Starkiller Savage counter for Leia, which was an incredible find here this season. Great value. Yes, there's cost to it, but wow, you free up a GL for anything. I mean, that's kind of a big deal. So good point there. Anything else you wanted to touch on? Because I know it's tough I know it's tough to forecast yourself out for what you think the world's going to look like when we don't even know what the next set is going to be. But yeah, TJ then. How about you? Any lessons learned? Any thoughts? Any expectations that you have of the first week of this next three season when we get there?
I think it's 100% wait and see, and we'll be just the start of the next set, right? Am I wrong there?
It will be very
So the hell and the chaos, right? The hell and the chaos will be there. I think I'll take where Dagger is correct. Is true as I can 100%, regardless of whatever set. Leia being on defense, it still requires something pretty strong, and she still holds like a monster. So her being there, I think Dagger is right. Whether it's now that's your like this is my bottom front, haha, or it's the top, it's going to be like you still have to use this for that. Makes sense, but I don't think anybody can make any decision on what it's going to be at. Obviously, Tuscans are going to be there. We all know that they're the monsters of threes. They'll continue to be either overkilling or you have to use something really good or you lose. We'll still have that Tuscan Warrior Cron, so that makes it even better. And it'll be just basically, I suspect, and I'm saying this still, with how I would call this Datacron set is lackluster, we can expect that this next set is going to be probably amazing.
Whale food.
Yeah, right. It's just going to be the start of the year. We're going to be looking at all the things. And I expect that it's going to be like, we need 30 of these, and if you don't have it, you are just going to be SOL, and that's going to
Sasha
be our week
Yusha
one.
is just sitting there in the dark atop a pile of credit cards,
Right.
just like
And whatever-
doing the Mr. Burns from The Simpsons, like tapping his fingertips together.
That's
He's like,
right.
he's just
right.
waiting, waiting.
Excellent. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, right? I think we can all agree that whatever they do, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be a monster, and we've had some where the level 3 was amazing. We've had some where the level 6 is amazing. And then there's some standouts for the level 9. I would probably expect that's going to be one of those again, where it's the 3 or the 6 that's going to be like, this affects like 15 teams, and now they're all on defense, and you need 15 of those Datacrons to offset that. That's what I expect. That's what we're going to say, because I think when we go into the speculation for 3s, it's like, oh, man, it's going to be hell because of, and then ... Insert DC data. Insert data detail or DC details, and this is what you get.
Yep. Very good. Very good. Dagger, anything you want to impart on the folks? Your thoughts about what we might see at the dawn of the next 3s?
So I appreciate you guys continue to bring up that we don't know. I mean, the answer is going to have Mandalorcrons and Imperial Remnant crons, right? Like we do know what the next 3v3 is going to look like.
Oh yeah, well yeah, Bandalore, yeah, for Bo. Yeah, they did say that, so we know it's Bo. So they did confirm that Bo does get a Datacron.
You're breaking up a little bit,
So
Dagger.
we do
Just wanted
kind
to
of
cover
know
that.
what the meta is going to look. Okay.
Yeah.
So what we do kind of know what the meta is going to look like is what I'm trying to say. We have a pretty good idea. We have maybe not pretty good. We have a reasonable idea of what the landscape's going to look like, especially for next 3v3. Think about how many Mandos there are, like TJ said. Maul is on Lord Vader. You have Garin ISC.
Their time has truly come.
Bo-Katan's a scoundrel. Right, Bo-Katan's a scoundrel.
It's true.
OG Bo-Katan is a scoundrel. Right, even if you don't have Bo, you like Bam is a Mandalorian, right? Like OG Mando is a Mandalorian.
Yep.
I'm just saying, like TJ said, I have a feeling that it's not going to be probably as pervasive as the Ufu-crons as far as like how widespread it is. But we do know that Ufus are getting crons. That Mandos are getting crons.
Yes.
So we do kind of know what the next 3v3 is going to look like from that aspect.
Yeah.
So
because you're right. Like we don't even know what the level 6s and how those abilities are going to affect things yet. But like, think about what people have been doing for the last couple seasons with whatever bootleg Rebel teams having a jacked up Rebel Cron damage reduction, buffs on 3, yada yada. Like absolutely, I'm right there with you. I see that happening for sure. A bunch of Mando.
We've also only ever had 1 2-month stretch with no protection. So I overwhelmingly assume there's going to be protection in the next set for JML. Otherwise, JML is going to be kind of useless unless Jedi or some Jedi adjacent thing that can be used with Jedi is in the crons, right? The only time we haven't had prod is when we've had Jedi crons, because they want JML to continue to be like a relevant team. So I do assume that there will be protection to answer that question too. I mean, obviously I could be wrong here, but I'm just saying, like, when you start thinking about this, and you start thinking about how 3v3 is going to shape itself up, like, I wouldn't be surprised to see Galactic Republic. I know TJ and I have talked about that, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Galactic Republic in the next Datacron set as well, because of that. Give JMK a cron, right? Like, I wouldn't be surprised to see something along those lines.
I can see that.
But again, that's a speculation.
They danced on JMK's forehead, so I could see JMK saying, "I'm back, bitches." So that can see, man, with Leia, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
those are actually good insights.
Yeah, so that's specifically speculation. But when we look to preparing for the next 3v3 and what it's going to look like, take your if you're in a position to do so, take a couple of extra Mandalorians to R7. Or no, it's R5 now. Sorry, it's R5 now for the level 9s if they keep it. So maybe take your OG Mando to R5 if you don't already have them. I mean, obviously this doesn't apply to us, who pretty much have probably all the Mandos R7 or R8 because of the crit. But there are some people out there where, one of the things you can do to prep for the next set of Datacrons, because they already said we're going to get Mandos, is start to work on the Mandos that you have less developed. Get your Garin ISC prepped, because one of them is getting a cron. I can almost guarantee you that one of them is getting a cron. Dig it. So I mean, like, there's obviously prep work you can do for that in that aspect. But as far as like how the meta is going to shape out from like a macro standpoint, we're going to have Bo in addition to what we already have.
Yep.
So the board's just going to continue to shrink, and the last like 3 to 5 teams you said are going to be Datacron dependent.
Yes.
And the other 10 teams we've already touched on ad nauseum here. So.
Well, good. Okay.
I don't think 3v3 is going to change all that much. We're just going to get more and more experimental as we go forward.
Very good. Very good. All right, guys. It's time to wrap up. We're just a few minutes over an hour here, so we had a good long chat about it. Gosh, for me, this was a red letter season, guys. Sweeping the top bracket, like Sasha pointed out earlier. Never done that before. And honestly, it's felt like maybe for the last few seasons, even though we end up getting back around the top bracket, when we do our little bit of yo-yo action, it still felt like actually finishing a season beating, like being rank 1 felt really, really far away. So to actually win ASOP and recognize that if he hadn't earned himself such an enormous accrued rating advantage, that would have been the moment, it makes it feel attainable again. It makes it feel like I'm really not that far. And it felt like it was still pretty far off, to be honest. So that was a good one for me, and that puts me in a great frame of mind here for going into fives. It's going to be hard. It's going to be... It is really difficult to have a successful week in the like that first week of threes when we have the new set. That's the nightmare scenario, to be in the top bracket for that first week if you're somebody like me that isn't trying to drop a bunch of money on Datacrons, because everybody you're fighting in week 1 is going to have the goods up there at least. Nonetheless, I remain incredibly positive about the game. Very happy with it, and it was just a great time for me. Sasha, anything you want to leave the people with before we part ways here on this one?
No, look, I will say hats off, Tass. I mean, it's awesome what you're doing, and so that is it's a great feeling and very well deserved, man. So
appreciate you.
That's fantastic. So I'm excited for you, and I'd encourage anybody that's listening that doesn't get a chance to regularly watch Tass's streams, definitely do it, because it's just. He's thoughtful, deliberate, and sort of shares his thinking as he goes through. So to see that at the highest quality gameplay is really cool. But that's my Tassinix advertisement. But
I appreciate it.
I think it's still in a good spot. I tend to be much more optimist and pessimist on the game, but. I'm thinking a little bit more that sort of like revelation or a bit of epiphany I had of when I started to use just random stuff I hadn't used. It was more fun. And so I'm not sure if I'm going to end up then like going all squirrely and doing different stuff in fives just to try and capture that same joy again. But yeah, so I don't know. That's where I am, a little bit uncertain, but still in a good spot with it.
You know what, though? If you're going to follow that urge, do that in a week 1 of a new season, right? Because then if you liked it, you're going to take whatever you learned from it and tweak it, and it's not going to be the same as it was last week. And if you didn't like it, you want to go back to something that you're more comfortable getting results from, then you just gave a great fake on your first week of Intel to your opponents.
Yeah,
and you can also put a ring on it.
Yeah. I mean, you could do that.
You put a ring on
early on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thank you, Sasha. Appreciate that. TJ, final thoughts? Anything you want to leave for the people?
I think we're going to see, like I said, we're going into fives. Everybody's going to feel a lot better. There's a lot of toys. And we touched on the speculation, right, of what the fives is going to be like. Threes, I think the call-out has been relevant, and I honestly, either it's biased or what I feel like is it's just going to be efficiency, infinite squared, whatever it's going to be, and I don't see that changing come next threes. I don't think all of a sudden we're going to get out of that. Mm-hmm. So just try to start molding your play style to hit that, at least for the time being, or until we can start looking at where it's a Wild West. Other than that, just try to adapt and overcome. If you're going to continue to play the game, this is where the game is heading. You're really going to have to mesh that way. And I say that begrudgingly.
All right. No. It's not all sunshine and roses out here, and that's a fair thing to say. Dagger, your final thoughts?
Just from echo Sasha's endorsement of your streams. If you have the 3 hours to sit there, you'll probably learn something.
Well, that's just the opener.
Well,
You have to
Let
do the
me
rest
let
of the
me
actual
interject
fights.
on that real quick. If you've got the 3.5 to 4 hours to sit there and watch me live, pile on in and enjoy the show. But if you're watching this here on YouTube, know that I also upload my Twitch VODs in their full length to YouTube, just with chapters added, so you can quickly browse between the fights, and you don't have to spend that kind of time if you don't have it. But you can still get most of the experience, you know. But yeah, if you got time to pop in and see me live, by all means, drop on in. Good to see you.
Yeah, and then I'll leave you with a few quotes. Number one is "Good soldiers follow orders," and that popped into my head after TJ said about 3v3 being an efficiency war. We adapt or die, right?
Mm-hmm.
We adapt or we fail. And then the third quote is, I just want to remind everyone when Martin Luther King Jr. said, free at last, thank God Almighty, threes is over at last.
Very good. Very good. All right, guys. As always, thank you so much here. It is the day after Christmas, and all of you have made the time to be here with me to record this show. So as always, I appreciate you making the sacrifices of your personal time for our collective benefit and enrichment and amusement and everything in between. But nonetheless, I remain grateful to you guys. Thank you so much. And to all of you out there on YouTube, for our general audience, this video will be available Friday morning. For all of my subscribers on Patreon, this will be available Wednesday morning, tomorrow morning. It'll be up for you. So until next time, thanks for watching. Great season to close out. And as always, it's been real. It's been awesome. It's been real awesome. Take care.